Welcome everyone this afternoon to GO Committee. We're going to go ahead and establish a quorum. Secretary, please call the roll.
Gray.
Here.
Linder.
Here.
Ashajian.
Here.
Alejo. Bigelow.
Present.
Campos. Cooley. Cooper.
Here.
Daly. Cristina Garcia.
Here.
Eduardo Garcia. Gibson.
Here.
Hernandez. Jones Sawyer. Levine. Mays. Perea. Salas. Steinnorth. Waldron. Wilk.
Present.
Okay, members, we have a quorum. Let's go ahead and move to adopting the consent calendar. Got a motion and a second. Secretary, please call the roll.
Gray.
Aye.
Gray, aye. Linder.
Aye.
Linder, aye. Ashajian. Ashajian, aye. Alejo. Bigelow. Campos. Cooley. Cooper.
Here.
Cooper, aye. Daly. Cristina Garcia. Cristina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gibson.
Aye.
Gibson, aye. Hernandez. Jones Sawyer. Levine. Levine, aye. Mays. Perea. Salas. Salas, aye. Steinnorth. Steinnorth, aye. Waldron. Waldron, aye. Wilk. Wilk, aye. It's been adopted.
Okay, the consent calendar has been adopted. We'll go ahead and move to regular business. Mr. Williams, welcome. Please approach and present your bill.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members. First, I'd like to thank you and your staff for working with my office on this bill. 780 will update the tied house restrictions, which I think you members know have not kept up with modern technology, especially social media. Current law restricts mention of a licensed retailer on social media to educational tastings or to respond directly to a direct inquiry from a customer by a non-retail industry member. This bill allows small distillers to use Twitter, Facebook, and other forms of social media to post about alcohol product availability without a direct inquiry on social media. This bill will expand the listing of off-sale retailers to include on-sale and off-sale, creating more consistency between federal and state regs, and provide these flexibilities and protect the ability of manufacturers to engage in social media communications with consumers while preserving the original intent of tied house laws.
Thank you. Support and opposition?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Chris Walker on behalf of the California Craft Brewers Association, representing over 350 breweries throughout the state. As you can imagine, craft beer enthusiasts would like to know where our products are available. Right now, we cannot post that information on our website or through our Twitter accounts or other social media unless it's in direct response to an inquiry. This would get rid of that requirement, conform with federal law, and allow us to communicate with our customers. We support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Gray, members of the committee, Paul Kronberg on behalf of Family Winemakers of California, about 400-plus members statewide out of 5,000 licensed wineries. What he said, it's an interesting problem that we need to fix. We ask for your support.
Dennis Loper, the California Beer and Beverage Distributors. With the amendments that make it 2 or more message points, we support the bill.
Okay, any opposition? Seeing none, members, any questions? Seeing none, would you like to close?
Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay, the chair has a due pass position. The motion is due pass to appropriations. Secretary, call the roll.
Gray.
Aye.
Gray, aye. Linder. Ashajian. Ashajian, aye. Alejo. Bigelow. Campos. Cooley. Cooley, aye. Cooper. Cooper, aye. Daly. Cristina Garcia. Cristina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gibson. Gibson, aye. Hernandez. Jones Sawyer. Levine. Levine, aye. Mays. Perea. Salas. Steinnorth. Steinnorth, aye. Waldron. Waldron, aye. Wilk. Wilk, aye. Salas, aye. That bill's out.
Okay, Mr. Williams, that bill is out. We'll leave the roll open. Okay, members, next we'll move to Assemblymember Dodd. AB 527. Please approach and present your bill.
First off, I would like to thank the chair and the committee staff for their time in analyzing this bill. I will also note that I will be accepting all the amendments listed on the top of page 4 of the analysis. AB 527 would allow licensed alcohol manufacturers and distributors to sponsor events of or purchase advertising space from live entertainment company that has its principal place of business in the county of Napa. The Alcohol Beverage Control Act prohibits alcohol beverage manufacturers from owning an interest in an on-sale license or providing anything of value to retailers, such as free goods or services.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Okay, I do have with me who came up from Napa from the Chamber of Commerce, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Chair.
Please proceed.
Go ahead, Brian.
I'm Brian Kelly. I'm with the Chamber of Commerce in Napa, and I just want to appreciate the motion and the second. This economic impact on our community is going to be huge, with a multiplier effect, approximately $35 million, and it also helps our primary industry, the wine industry, which you know is an integral part of our community. So thank you.
Tim Lynch on behalf of Latitude 38, the promoter of Bottle Rock and the Napa Valley Vintners. Again, thanking the committee for their hard work and all the interested parties on this bill. We think it's a really great way to allow Bottle Rock to continue to thrive in the community.
Thank you. Any opposition at this time?
Mr. Chairman, members, Dennis Lowe for the California Beer and Beverage Distributors. We really want to thank the author and the committee for their hard work. With the amendments, we are no longer opposed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dodd, would you like to close?
Just respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay, members, we have a motion and a second. Secretary, please call the roll.
Gray.
Aye.
Gray, aye. Linder. Ashajian. Ashajian, aye. Alejo. Bigelow. Campos. Cooley. Cooley, aye. Cooper. Cooper, aye. Daly. Christina Garcia. Christina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gibson. Gibson, aye. Hernandez. Jones Sawyer. Levine. Levine, aye. Mays. Perea. Salas. Salas, aye. Steinnorth. Steinnorth, aye. Waldron. Waldron, aye. Wilk. Wilk, aye. Bill's out.
Okay, sir, that bill is out. We'll leave the roll open.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, members, now we will move to the committee members' legislation, starting with item 1, AB 216. Assembly Member Garcia, would you please approach and present?
Good afternoon, Chairman and members. AB 216 would make it illegal for stores to sell non-nicotine vaping electronic cigarette devices to anyone under the age of 18. Current law only prevents minors from purchasing vaping electronic cigarette devices with nicotine cartridges. Even though these devices come without nicotine, it is still a filtration device that can be used for smoking cannabis, nicotine, and other herbal substances. E-cigarettes and vape pens often target younger audiences using sweet-flavored compounds that carry the names of popular kid treats such as gummy bears and Fruit Loops. Although they don't have nicotine, these compounds have been shown to contain other harmful chemicals masked by the candy-flavored vapor. Minors under the age of 18 years old are now free to purchase and use these products.
Move the bill. Okay, we have a motion and a second.
While many adults are using e-cigarettes and vape pens as a way to quit smoking, studies suggest that adolescents who are enticed by e-cigarettes are more likely to progress from experimenting with cigarettes to becoming established smokers. AB 216 is an important step in protecting our children. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Do we have any support with you here today?
Good afternoon, Chairman Gray and members of the committee. My name is Kathy Hall, and I represent the more than 800,000 members of the California State PTA. We are in support of this bill. Throughout our history, we've supported laws that protect the health, welfare, safety, and education opportunities for our children, as this bill does. We seek to remove hazards to the health of California's children. In our resolution, Smoking and Health, we state our opposition to any and all influences that tend to start children smoking. So let me point out some of the reasons we tie vaping and smoking. Like smoking, vaping, a heated chemical-rich vapor, is inhaled into the lungs. While not all vaping solutions contain nicotine, they all contain toxins. Our children then breathe in formaldehyde, lead, nickel, or other toxins. These toxins are also exhaled, creating a secondhand smoke-like situation for the people that are surrounding the vaping user. Many of these products, as the Assembly member said, are titled to entice children. The vaping juices have names like fruit flavors, peach smoothie, Skittles, Curious George. The vaping pens themselves often are highly colored, decorated with cartoon characters or bright colors, clearly marketing to youth. And as our children are indeed curious and innovative, these vaping pens may not be used as they were originally intended. And the opportunity to purchase or acquire nicotine-containing vapor fluids or other illegal drug oils are just a step away. Traditional tobacco use is just a step away. We support and thank Assemblymember Garcia for bringing this bill that further criminalizes the sales of these vaping products to our youth, and we respectfully ask for your aye vote this afternoon.
Thank you. Any additional support? Name and organization.
Thank you, Chairman Gray, members of the committee. I'm Reverend James Butler, representing the Alcohol Narcotic Education Foundation. We appreciate the work of the Assembly member in raising this issue and certainly support her efforts and ask your vote. Thank you.
David Quintana on behalf of Enjoy Corporation, and we also are in support of the bill.
Thank you, sir. Any opposition at this time? Seeing none, any questions from the members? Well, Assemblyman Garcia, thank you on behalf of the committee for bringing forward this important measure. I believe this was a proposal that originated out of your district, and it's certainly a good proposal and seeks to protect our young people and our children, and you have our gratitude for bringing it forward. With that, do we have a motion and a second? Okay, motion by Mr. Cooley, second by Mr. Salas. Secretary, please call the roll.
Gray?
Aye.
Gray, aye. Linder? Ashajian? Ashajian, aye. Alejo? Bigelow? Campos? Cooley? Cooley, aye. Cooper? Cooper, aye. Daly? Daly, aye. Cristina Garcia?
Aye.
Cristina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, aye. Mr. Gibson?
Aye.
Mr. Gibson, aye. Hernandez? Jones Sawyer? Levine? Levine, aye. Mays? Perea? Salas? Salas, aye. Steinnorth? Steinnorth, aye. Waldron? Wilk?
Aye.
Wilk, aye. Bill's out.
Okay, that bill is out. We'll leave the roll open. At this time, members, we'll move to item number 2, AB 361. Assemblymember Ashajian, would you like to approach and present your bill, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'm pleased to present Assembly Bill 361, which will extend the sunset date of the Nuclear Planning Assessment Special Account from July 1, 2019 to July 1, 2025, to continue to fund emergency planning programs for Diablo Canyon Power Plant. Currently, the Office of Emergency Services is required to coordinate the activities of all state agencies relating to the preparation and implementation of the State Nuclear Power Plant Emergency Response Plan.
I'll move the item.
Second. We have a motion and a second.
Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, sir. Any witnesses in support?
Is this on? My name is Rochelle Becker, Alliance for Nuclear Responsibility, and we fully support Assemblyman Ashajian's bill.
Thank you. Any witnesses in opposition? Seeing none, any questions from the members? Seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll. Well, sir, would you like to close?
Not in the report. PG&E is support of this bill, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay, this bill is double referred, and so it's due pass to UNC committee. Secretary, please call the roll.
Gray.
Aye.
Gray, aye. Linder. Ashajian.
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Alejo. Bigelow. Campos. Cooley. Cooper.
Aye.
Cooper, aye. Daly.
Aye.
Daly, aye. Cristina Garcia. Cristina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gibson.
Aye.
Gibson, aye. Hernandez. Jones Sawyer. Levine.
Aye.
Levine, aye. Mays. Perea.
Aye.
Perea, aye. Salas.
Aye.
Salas, aye. Steinnorth.
Aye.
Steinnorth, aye. Waldron. Wilk.
Aye.
Wilk, aye.
Okay, sir, that bill is out, and we'll leave the roll open. This time, members, we're going to move to item 4, AB 774. Assembly Member Levine, if you would please approach and present your bill.
AB 774 allows limited beer tastings at certified farmers markets and grants nonprofits the ability to receive donated beer for use as an auction item. Currently, the Department of Alcoholic Beverage
Motion
Control
by Mr. Perea, second by Mr. Cooper.
allows the sale of sealed beer containers at certified farmers markets. Unfortunately, unlike other products at the market, current law does not permit a brewery to offer tastings. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Witnesses in support.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Chris Walker on behalf of the California Craft Brewers Association in support of the bill.
Witnesses in opposition. Sir, please approach.
Thank you, Chairman Gray. Reverend James Butler from the California Council on Alcohol Problems. We oppose this bill for three primary reasons. The first reason is that we do not believe that we need to have alcohol served at more and more basically family-friendly events like farmers markets. And because of that, and we've seen the gradual intrusion of alcohol being served in different of these environs, we oppose it for that very basic reason that we don't think that it is the appropriate place to serve alcohol. The second reason we oppose is a concern that the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, who has the responsibility of regulation and enforcement, will be able to adequately do their task. And even though I believe, as I recall, the licensing permit is $50 for that license, we don't think that that would be adequate, especially when the possibility exists that every farmer's market could choose to go in this particular direction. And the third reason that we oppose this is of the gradual but continual erosion of the separation, if you will, the tide restrictions. As you look even at the report of the legislative analyst, you see beginning in the year 2000 a number of bills that have been chaptered, some that didn't quite get out of committee. But each of these, beginning in 1997 rather, and then 2000, 2006, 2008, 2010, 13, 14, and now we're in 2015, each of these attempted to provide an opportunity for greater marketing and thus, as we've even had testified, the possibility of greater profits for the alcohol industry. However, in that exact same period of time, there has never been an increase in the alcohol tax on wine or beer or distilled spirits in our state, going back to 1992. And consequently, more alcohol is being sold, we assume therefore consumed. We then make the assumption that with that increase comes an increase in harm to the state, economic harm, that has been documented before. Without a companion legislative act that would increase the accountability of the alcohol industry through increasing taxes. And so at this point, we oppose this bill as an intrusion of alcohol into family-friendly events, as a regulatory and enforcement challenge for the ABC, which has a huge responsibility as is. And third, because we continue to provide the alcohol industry with opportunity for profit, but not holding them accountable with increases in taxes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony. Members, do we have any questions at this time? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion, we have a second.
I think
Mr. Chair, if you'd like me to respond just real briefly. The ABC permits these opportunities at farmers markets, so they are overseeing these. There have been no problems whatsoever to date. And when you look at a dynamic marketplace, tied house laws are best served and best protected if they're continually strengthened over the years. And when you look at the changes in the law, that's what has been happening. The other issue is this is all about buy local. The consumption of beer since 1981 has been going down, not up. So if you look at the consumption from the Board of Equalization numbers, it's remained static. Consumption has not gone up over the years as represented. It's just not true. What we're trying to do is ensure that people are buying local and supporting our local economies. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Levine, would you like to close?
I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second. Do pass is the motion. Secretary, please call the roll.
Gray.
Aye.
Gray, aye. Linder. Ashajian. Ashajian, aye. Alejo. Bigelow. Campos. Cooley. Cooper.
Aye.
Cooper, aye. Daly.
Aye.
Daly, aye. Christina Garcia.
Aye.
Christina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gibson.
Aye.
Gibson, aye. Hernandez. Jones Sawyer. Levine.
Aye.
Levine, aye. Mays.
Aye.
Mays, aye. Perea.
Aye.
Perea, aye. Salas.
Aye.
Salas, aye. Steinnorth.
Aye.
Steinnorth, aye. Waldron. Wilk.
Aye.
Wilk, aye. That bill's out.
Okay, sir, that bill is out. We'll leave the roll open.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
Okay, Mr. Garcia, would you like to approach members? This is our final item, item 8, AB 1411. Assemblymember Garcia. Absent members, please return to committee so that you can add on to the bills.
Being the last item, I'll keep this brief. Mr. Chair, members, AB 1411 would require the State Fire Marshal, with the advice of the State Board of Fire Services, to adopt regulations and standards requiring a visual and audible warning device that indicates a hazardous and flammable amount of lint in all commercial clothes dryers. While the cause of these types...
We have a motion from Mr. Perea, second by Mr. Gibson.
While the cause of these types of fires may seem like a trivial matter, fire experts, the Society of the Blind, and the insurance industry identify the matter at hand as a far too common cause of home fires. Members, when technology emerged to detect smoke, we required smoke detectors. When the technology emerged to detect carbon monoxide, we required those detectors. With the technology available, I believe this is a simple solution. These are fires that could be avoided in residential homes, and we respectfully ask for your aye vote. With me are a couple members of the Blind Society and fire experts to testify or answer any technical questions on behalf of the bill.
Thank you, sir. Witnesses in support.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Afrak Vargas with the California State Firefighters Association. Just wanted to say thank you to the author for introducing this legislation. This is the first of its kind introduced in the nation, but the issue is not something that is new or unknown to the fire service. I'll turn it over to Gene Gant, our Executive Director.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Gene Gant with California State Firefighters Association. My background is 35 years in the fire service, 30 of that dealing with fire prevention, fire investigation. And this is a very important bill to us. This is a bill that came about because of an incident that I actually had in my own home. I started looking into fires and dryers and lint, and I started looking and saying, we do have a problem. Been on hundreds and hundreds of fires in the state of California dealing with dryer fires. And what we find with dryer fires is that they happen in a garage, they happen in a hallway closet, in a laundry room, so people aren't aware of what's going on until the fire actually starts. What our proposal is to go to the State Fire Marshal's office, develop regulations. The regulatory process is an inclusive brings in all parties who are interested in this, including the manufacturers, to develop a regulatory process that will work for the state of California. And it will what we're looking at is a device that would let the consumer know, the homeowner know that there is a problem in their dryer prior to a fire starting. That's what we want to do. We don't want the homeowners to be concerned. We don't want firefighters put into a situation that they don't need to be put in. And that's the reason we've asked the Assembly member to bring this bill forward and to move it to the Fire Marshal's office for regulatory consideration. I'd like to introduce James McMullen, retired State Fire Marshal for the state of California, for a real quick testimony.
Yes, I am James McMullen. I have over 40 years' experience in fire service, including 7 as the State Fire Marshal. And these fires do occur. The lint is a highly flammable commodity, and when finding a source of ignition, such as a burner or a heater inside of a compartment of a dryer, unbeknownst to the owners, a fire will occur. We all clean the lint out of our upper screen, and we think that's all there is, but in fact, down in the lower compartment, it's building up lint, and we have this unsuspecting possible fire going to break out. And I highly support this bill, along with the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, which also supports it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any witnesses, additional witnesses report?
Jeff Tom with the California Council of the Blind. We are the largest organization of blind and low vision individuals in California. Chair Gray and members, we think this is an excellent bill, and I would associate myself with the comments of the prior speakers and merely make one additional point. People who are blind or who have low vision, like everyone else, have to undertake all those daily living tasks such as cooking, cleaning, and doing laundry. I think I've been doing laundry for over 40 years, and somehow I haven't figured out a way to get somebody else to do it for me yet. So one of the problems we have with appliances is sometimes they're not fully accessible to us. Just to give you a couple of examples, flat screens, for example, sometimes prohibit us from knowing, where to push a button to make a stove do what we want it to, or whatever. Visual displays can be another problem because we obviously can't see that display and know what is happening with the appliance. And that's why we think this bill is such an excellent bill, because it does take the needs of blind and low vision individuals into consideration by an audible cue for lint detection. And you're not just taking into consideration those who are totally blind. In fact, we are a real minority of the group. There are literally tens of thousands of low vision Californians, especially seniors, who will be impacted in a very positive way by this bill. And we thank you again on the bill, and we urge the committee to adopt it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Additional witnesses in support, name and organization.
Mr. Chair, Manolo Platine, Personal Insurance Federation, in support. Thank you.
Mr. Chair and members, Aaron Norwood on behalf of the Independent Insurance Agents and Brokers of California, also in support. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any witnesses in opposition? Please approach.
Kevin Messmer. I represent the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers. I'll let Wayne Morris from the AHAM speak in more detail. I just want to make 2 broad points. One, to correct the record, we contacted the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission this morning. They do not have a position on this bill, and so I just want to clarify that. They do not have a position on this bill. Second thing I wanted to mention is that we would love to work with firefighters and other safety experts on this. We reached out to them, have not heard back from them, but we're open to work with them. And there's a process to work through these, but I'll pass this on to Mr. Morris.
Thank you. I'm Wayne Morris. I'm the Vice President of Technical Operations and Standards at the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers. Thank you, Chairman Gray and Vice Chairman Linder and members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to testify in opposition to this bill. This bill would establish a state-specific requirement enforceable as a crime in lieu of the preferred method of improving appliance safety via the existing industry consensus safety standards processes. Further, there's no evidence that the existing safety standards and recent proposed improvements thereto are inadequate with respect to mitigating the possible risks associated with this bill.
The bill is therefore unnecessary and would not achieve its apparent intended objections. For instance, one of the people that testified about clothes dryers being in garages or in hallways or in basements, unfortunately, if a bell or a whistle or a light comes off, people don't stand in front of their clothes dryer where they're there. It's not going to really do much of anything. Now and for more than a decade, the appliance industry has believed that improvements to appliance safety should be made through the National Appliance Voluntary Standards processes. There's a representative here from Underwriters Laboratories from San Jose, one of the largest independent standards developers in the nation. This belief is backed up by several important actions, some of which I will tell you about, and some of which is in my written testimony. Across the United States, nearly 70% of households own or have access to a clothes dryer. These appliances are relied upon and they're used safely. It's the home appliance industry's top priority to design products that are safe and are useful. We don't let up on that. We are constantly involved in that. My standards department works on over 35 standards development standards. I have been involved in standards development for over 35 years. Appliance manufacturers have worked collaboratively for years to share safety processes and best practices along the industry. Further, all home appliances, including clothes dryers, are tested by nationally recognized testing laboratories to ensure that they meet the independent consensus standards processes before they're sold in the United States. In conjunction with the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission and standards development organizations, manufacturers have improved safety standards, including a massive change that was done to the industry and to the products, in which the industry spent well over millions of dollars designing new clothes dryers to meet a standard that took effect in March of 2013, which would address this very issue. That process and that standards change has not had time to work itself through, nor to show up in the standards or in the statistical situation. Both the industry and the federal government agree that the preferred method is to establish...
Sir. If you'd go ahead and wrap up your comments.
Yes, I would. Turning to the stated purpose of this bill, there's a long history behind the role that lint plays as a possible risk factor. We agree that lint is a fuel, but our industry is concerned on not just the fuel that is always going to be there, but rather look at the specific individual technical reason for the initiation of the fire situation. To that end, our industry has proposed 5 new standards changes over the last 3 years in which we will address the actual cause of the fire, not the fuel in the fire, but the cause of the fire. This particular situation with this buzzer or warning is not going to have any effect. We had one of our manufacturers that tried this. What did it result in? It resulted in service calls, which cost over $100 for each time that bell or buzzer comes off. Somebody has to go out and tell them that there's nothing wrong with their clothes dryer.
Okay, thank
We'd
you
love
very
to
much.
work with the people. Thank you very much.
Any other witnesses in opposition? Name and organization.
Margaret Gladstein on behalf of the California Retailers Association. We do not want to see a California-only product being sold through our stores. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any questions from the members? Mr. Mays.
Well, I feel like I'm an expert on this now because since I've come to Sacramento, I'm actually washing and drying my own clothes. But I know. Exactly.
Some of us are experts.
My wife is actually happy that I've come to Sacramento because I can wash my own clothes. But it was an interesting point that you brought up because I do that. I put my clothes in the dryer and then I walk away. In fact, I come down here. I do it in the morning. I think I did put a load in this morning. So the question is, it shouldn't be I didn't realize until I read this analysis that this was even a problem. But it seems to me that it shouldn't be a beeper, or it should be audible or something that you can see. The dryer shouldn't work. I mean, if this is such a problem, then why are we thinking that that's only a beeper or a light to be able to tell people? Why don't you make it to where it shuts off?
Well, there's a problem with that, if I could. One of the chief reasons for some of the clothes dryer fires, and indeed in our analysis, a very large percentage of those are what an issue is called spontaneous combustion. This is an issue where somebody spills cooking oil, or they may have gasoline or other kinds of things, and they put those clothes into the washer and then into the dryer. That will actually exacerbate the problem. So when you put it into the dryer, it starts a self-heating process. If you shut off the dryer at the point where this happens,
that can cause spontaneous ignition. It needs that cool down cycle. So if you stop the dryer just because it has a buildup of lint, the only way that we know to address the issue that has been raised in this bill is to do a pressure type of sensor. And a pressure sensor doesn't tell you anything. Every time the pressure outside, the atmospheric pressure in the vented situation will change, either high or low, that will ring off these devices. That's what one of our manufacturers tried. It doesn't work. You don't want to stop the cycle in the middle of the cycle. You want it to continue on and go through the cool down so that there's less chance of that spontaneous ignition. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and go to Mr. Wilk and then to Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do my laundry as well, and I do my wife's. I do it at home. I'm a germaphobe. I will not do it in my apartment up here. I came in here today with the purpose of voting aye on this bill. I had friends a number of years ago that had a fire, but you guys made some very compelling case. And so I guess the question is, because I heard some that we can work with the author, then I heard other testimony saying this sets a separate standard from California and they're opposed. So my vote's going to be based upon your direction. Do you think you guys can work with the author and come to something that's going to be satisfactory to consumers and the industry, or do you think that's probably not possible and my vote's going to be based upon your testimony?
We definitely want to work with the firefighters, and the process to do this, we believe, is not a political process. It's with safety experts. And that's what the UL, and there's a tweener in the crowd from UL who can speak to the UL safety process. The National Firefighters Association Protection, we encourage them and want them at the table. This is where they're discussed in the U.S., Canada, everywhere. It's not a political process. It's safety experts, and we want to work with them. And we hope they join that.
So I guess the question to the author is, because they said that they haven't gotten much feedback back from your office, so are you interested in
most
continuing the
definitely
dialogue?
Want to work with the opposition, but I did want to just state for the record, here in my hand I have a letter from the United States Consumer Protection Safety Commission supporting this bill, so I just wanted to make sure that the record was straight, that we do have support, unlike one of the members of who gave testimony stated. But we are very interested in working with the opposition. We have a problem here. We have fires that could be easily prevented. California led the way with detecting smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, and here's just one more way that we can protect families in their home from preventable fires.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez.
I just wanted to respond, if okay.
Sorry.
I just wanted to respond to the CPSC letter. Just to be clear, the letter does not anywhere state that it supports the bill, and we clarified that with the department. It talks about support for safety. It doesn't support the bill or take a position on the bill. We clarified that with the Legislative Affairs Office with CPSC this morning.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. I want to commend the author for championing efforts to ensure a safer household and ultimately safer communities. Mr. Garcia, I wanted to ask you a little bit, and sharing my own experience. I know that when I dry my whites versus my darks, there is a greater accumulation and creation of lint with the whites. So based on your experience and your scientific research, can you tell me if a household is in greater danger when drying the whites, or is it versus where should we be more concerned?
That's a good question. I know that the lint that is taken out of our dryer at home is like a mosaic of colors. Nevertheless, I think what's important here, and that we do not miss the point, is that these are flammable materials, right? That if gone undetected, and I don't know how many of you members or people in the audience regularly know that the lint in your dryer or in the back of the dryer is to capacity, that it could cause a fire. I'm not sure too many people in California are conscious of that. I'm very appreciative of the fire experts, along with the insurance industry, as well as the Society for the Blind, who we are helping make sure that they are safe in their homes. And so with that, I hope that answers your question, and I certainly didn't intend on dragging the conversation far longer than it has, but I would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
It's satisfactory. I do have a follow-up question, though. Previous attempts of this bill have hampered because appliance manufacturers have nothing to gain. Has the tide turned? Will these issues come out in the wash?
You know, I probably would defer to the experts that are here to address the question, but in the interest of time, be happy to meet with you and any of the other members of this committee, along with the opposition, to work in moving this important bill forward.
And you could bounce it to another committee.
Well, thank you, members. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Certainly, I think you've brought forward an important bill here today. At the bare minimum, it's helped us discover a diverse set of skills amongst our committee members, both in the area of doing laundry and comedy. I fully support your bill. I think these discussions have occurred in the past over seat belts, fire alarms, and other consumer protection products, and I'm sure that in moving this forward and working with the advocates, we're going to arrive at a good place protecting our constituents, protecting California. So thank you. With that, we have a motion, a second. We have an aye recommendation from the chair. And Secretary, please call the roll.
Gray.
Aye.
Gray, aye. Linder. Aye. Linder, aye. Ashajian. Ashajian, aye. Alejo. Bigelow. Campos. Cooley.
Aye.
Cooley, aye. Cooper.
Aye.
Cooper, aye. Daly.
Aye.
Daly, aye. Christina Garcia. Christina Garcia, aye. Eduardo Garcia.
Aye.
Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gibson.
Aye.
Gibson, aye. Hernandez. Hernandez, aye. Jones Sawyer. Levine. Levine, aye. Mays. Mays not voting. Perea. Perea, aye. Salas. Salas, aye. Steinnorth. Waldron. Wilk.
Not voting.
Okay, Mr. Garcia, that bill is out. We'll leave the roll open. Members, that concludes our business today. Absent members, please return. We will leave the roll open for 5 minutes.